What's happening? I'm very sporadic with this. Y'all know this as far as the lives are concerned. So L.A.R. movement still moving. Um, is it GR? Thanks for the clip art. I got to get his name proper. But this is going to be. I'm gonna try to be concise. I'm not going to try to be all over the place. But I had a conversation today with my lady about honesty, right? But I'm also going to add to the conversation about freedom. Understand? So what I mean by this is we had this talk where she was like, she thinks, she's telling me that women have a hard time with men being honest. And my response to that was what normally happens is you ladies want honesty to they want honesty because of what they're feeling. And the problem with that is this: you're feeling some way today, and you want honesty about how you're feeling today. But because you're feeling a certain way does not mean the person you want to be honest at that particular moment is feeling the same way you feel. So now I got to get into this whole honesty thing. And the other thing about this is freedom. This idea, because I was listening to the breakdown of the woman's perspective, and they had Paco on, and Paco, when people have feminist ideology, they have this thing about they want freedom to be all over the place, as if that freedom doesn't affect another person. If you want to be free and your freedom only affects you, that's one thing. But most people want to be free and let their freedom affect other people and then just want other people to deal with it. That's not really the way it's going to go. So, and then I got to add to that the whole Black Lives Matter. I first saw it on Tone Talks, and then I read what he read, where they gave basically $21 million to certain organizations that aren't necessarily affiliated with Black Lives Matter. 23, there are 33 organizations. 23 of them are led by the rainbow community, and it just makes people go, yeah, so what are you doing? You're taking what's happening to one population of Black people and transposing, paying it out to somebody else's agenda. So because we should all just be able to be free and do whatever we want to do with, no, nobody should say anything, no accountability, and nobody looking at it differently, like, hey, I'm not feeling this. So now that I laid down that part, let's get honest. Can we get honest about relationships? And watch how Young Levin's at today too. If I were to be honest and talk honestly about relationships in our community, I would honestly have to say that it comes off that most people want the benefits of a relationship from one person to to benefactor to benefactee, So, in all honesty, when you're not getting what you want out of somebody, you don't like them anymore. This is why I was laughing. We were having a conversation. I was cracking up because I was like, well, I was telling her, honestly, if you're a guy, one of the things, what's going on. One of the things that you got to have fun with, if you want a relationship to end with a woman, all you have to do is say you're broke or you lost your job. She's going to leave, or she's going to be on her way out. 2, give her bad sex. repeatedly. Not gonna feel you anymore because all of this, all and three, get really quote unquote. I should have said be loving, but be needy. If you're needy, people gonna leave you. Now, for us, it's a different story, right? Completely different story because we're gonna get honest about things. Some of us guys might really love a woman, but we're tired of the sex. And then that caused us to go astray. I love you, but I done had this cookie. I'm bored with it, right? Just like, and she might be bored with you, but she might quote unquote love you. But it's one of those things where, you know, guys have this thing where it's like, I love you, but I'm just looking. I like looking at other people because you're not the only person on the planet. And honestly, we were talking about, I was like, I can explain it in the sense of you want men to, in essence, um, when we commit, we also gotta fight the battle within ourselves to like, but so I can only be with you and I gotta do things for you. But what if but I want to look at other people too. Might not want to indulge, but you're not the only person I want to look at all the rest of my days. You get what I'm saying? That is for us kind of ridiculous. That's where a lot of things go left. So that honesty is a problem because if you tell that to a woman, depending on the woman, it's like, but why you can't just be me? And why can't you just love me? And it's like, I can just love you. But I'm not just gonna look at you all the time. It's a difference. But people don't want to give people the freedom to look around because if you look around, then you might indulge. It's like, oh, okay, all right, all right. Now, I'm gonna take this a little bit further because we were talking about the honesty of have an honest talk about being traditional, and it's like men are saying, and look, and I come across brothers saying this, I was at the gym a few days ago and the brother was talking about this, and I'm just sitting there because I've been in this space so long, like, yeah, I'm not even gonna tell you, what we've been talking about for the last few years, because it's a waste of time because you already there. But what I'm getting at is brothers are saying, I wanna, you ladies want a traditional man, but they want to be a modern woman, right? And you got women saying, I want to be a traditional woman. And I bring the Oprah thing in, it's not the Oprah thing, but the Ayanna Van Zant thing into it because in her last episode, one of the things the lady said was, I don't trust men's leadership, so I do not want to, commit to that leadership. Which ironically, later on in that episode, they also brought up that ladies want to be they see themselves as queens, but when you're a certain type of woman and you see yourself as a queen, you purposely won't date a king. You'll date the carriage. What is the carriage? What do you call it? Basically, the guy on a horse and buggy that carries the cargo, right? So that's what you're gonna do. And then people don't think about it in that way because it's like, well, what are we up to right now? It's like, well, I'm gonna tell you what we're up to right now. We're dealing with you purposely don't want leadership, but you don't. But when guys show up to be leaders, and they're leaders, you purposely don't want them. So the traditionalism that some of these ladies want to guys comes off as a farce, a lie. Because honestly, you don't want to be traditional. But this is what goes on in these conversations where a traditional man, head of the household, the leader of the family, who makes the decisions and has a plan on where the family should go from point A to point B. You know, got a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, 20-year plan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So me and my lady came to an agreement that that's pretty much what it is. So, but I was like, you know, there's two things that go on with this. To be the leader in a traditional sense, for a lot of guys, there's a lot of pressure, you know, and it's more pressure now than it was back then. But guys succumbed to the pressure back then. But the other side of that is you got ladies who want to be traditional women now. When they was 20, they wanted to get an education so they didn't have to depend on no man. 25, I got a job, I got my education, I got my career, job or whatever. I ain't got to depend on no man. 30, I'm enjoying my life. I'm making my own money, blah, blah, blah. 35, I'm getting tired of this. You know, 40, you know, where the good men at, right? You know, absolutely. So now we're there. And in all honesty, guys are looking at it in practical application like, you want to be traditional because you want to stop being a boss chick, or you want to stop being, you know, a go-getter. You're tired of that, and now you want to be a traditional woman. But here's the problem. It's viewed as the way you want to be traditional is modern. And what I mean by, you know, let's just say, you know, for all intents purposes, I put this in practical application. Man makes 75, woman makes 75. We're just going to keep it, you know, not over 100. We're just going to keep it under 100, but middle class numbers. Man makes 75, woman makes 75. We're just going to make this equal, right? When a woman is saying, I want a traditional man, she's wanting a man who's going to, with his 75, he's taking care of the house and, you know, the bills, and she doesn't have to worry about bills, right? You know, absolutely, fam. Absolutely, Natalie. So now she doesn't have to worry about the bills. But on the back end, that's what he's doing with his 75. And he also, you know, but he also has to be the guy, you know, he's paying for the dates. You know, that's his role. And, you know, because he's the one doing most of the giving and gifting off of his 75. So, but the lady, I'm going to save for our retirement. And I'm going to put money, you know, for the vacations. Well, here's the problem. Guys don't view it that way. Guys look at it, no, because she's going to save for her retirement. She's not going to save for our retirement. So, you know, when I say traditional in a sense, women are not traditional financially. Because if you got to be traditional, you got to be traditional financially. Your 75, his 75, he got a good plan, you roll with that plan. That means your money goes in that direction too. You know what I'm saying? But ladies don't want that. They want, you know, I want my money where my money at, but I want you to do what a traditional man did with his money. But at the end of the day, guys are saying that's a bad deal. That's a raw deal. That's a bad investment because guess what? You can pick up and leave and you didn't actually put in on much. That's why I was joking earlier in the video that I uploaded earlier about why women love men is because you get a lot of free stuff. So what guys are looking at women as is just leeches. Like when women want to settle down and be traditional, it's like, what exactly are you trying to do? You trying to leech off of me, right? And thus the question of what are you bringing to the table? And it's like, because nobody wants to, like, as a man, I understand other ladies' dynamic because I understand that there are women who aren't meeting men who are quote unquote up to par. But the problem with that is people are making the assumption, oh my God. I'm George Carl. Hey man, the Sonics is my team player. I'll take it though. But what winds up happening at the end of the day is We don't want to play. We want to point the finger and place blame. Like when I'm about to, some of these things I'm about to say, you know, I'm just gonna let it rip. All right. So when we're in this space and we're talking about the men and the women, one of the biggest issues about that's happening with honesty is everybody has a story and a narrative to blame the opposite sex, but don't want to look at themselves. You know, a lot of these plans that we, you know, it's great that we're online having this discussion, that we've been online having these discussions. You know, whether people like it or not, everything that people have said in the manosphere so far, if you really want to be honest, what's happening? You're seeing that on Ayala Van Zandt. I'm driving, you know, I'm driving on my off day to work out, and guess who? Guess who I hear on 102. Hear them talking about on 102.1 the radio? Kevin Samuels. But of course they're dissing him, right? And the honesty comes in with this, and the freedom part comes in with this. What a lot of ladies don't want to deal with is you've had the freedom to say your side of the story for years. And here's the problem that people have in their regular day-to-day lives. Your side of the story is the only side. You assume that men would never tell their side of the story. You assume that because you talk on television shows, you talk on your girlfriend's planners, you talk on talk shows, you talk in your little social media groups, you talk, you know, in your little back chats, and you have all your female spaces that, you know what, we have all these issues. But when guys start addressing, you know, saying, yeah, we got issues too, then it's, oh my God, that's bashing. So let me really be honest. It's only bashing because you don't like hearing what you don't do well. See, guys looked at it as bashing because at the end of the day, it was like we were watching women purposely date a certain type of guy and then have this story about it on the back end. Like, you know, I dated this guy, you know, and people was like, you know, you knew what kind of individual this guy was. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. You knew this was a nice guy, you knew this was a bad guy. So you're upset and you bash the nice guy for being too nice, and you bash the bad guy for being bad. And it's like, that is, we looked at it as that's bashing because you knew what you were getting into. Now, when guys start talking about our experience with women, it's like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. So let me be honest. Because me and my lady were talking about, well, don't men know men need to do better at vetting women? And I was like, well, I get that. Just like, you know, men and women need to do better at vetting each other. But I was like, the difference between men and women is men take a loss in the vetting process. Because if I meet you and I ask you out on a date, I'm dating you to vet you. So it costs me to vet you. You're vetting me for free and I'm vetting you for pay. So I was like, most of the time, men, you know, have been taking losses for years just dating because most of us, the majority of our dates are bad. And we're paying for bad dates. So I had to, one of the things I brought up was that's why there was a stretch where it was like a nationwide thing. Women were complaining about guys taking, you know, meet me at Starbucks, meet me at the bookstore, meet me at this place. And why do we got to keep going on these cheap dates? Because guys got tired of paying to meet bad people. You know, that's not the issue the other way around. And that becomes a bigger problem. Because now, like I said, let's talk honesty and freedom. Now you're seeing the internet give people freedom, right? So now you got freedom of choice. What are you doing? Guys are still approaching on the internet. Women are still denying on the internet. To the point that guys are who they say they are on the internet for the most part. Women, have a propensity to catfish for the most part. So now it's like, okay, even if you put yourself up online, this might not be you. This might not be the real you. This might be your persona. This might be you 2 years ago, 5 years ago, right? This might not be you right now. So honestly, guys are looking at it like, I really don't know what I'm gonna get in this situation. So now you're dealing with the fact that guys are looking at having more freedom. Because one thing I was cracking up about was I was saying that, this last year pandemic, and in some instances save a lot of guys money who are single because you don't have to date. And some of these women, some of their biggest issue during the pandemic of loneliness wasn't just they didn't have a man or they didn't have attention. They didn't have the opportunity to get free stuff from multiple guys. Because let me go back to this dating process and the vetting. One of the reasons I said that guys have a bad time dating, and we take losses even in the dating process, when we're vetting you, we're still taking a loss. It's because of one simple thing. A lot of you ladies don't have it together. Now, when you look at Kevin Samuel's show, right? And I've talked about this before. When you look at the women that wind up being on the show, you saw how it has escalated that more and more women are unprepared for a conversation. They know the show now. They know how it goes, but they still show up unprepared to have an honest conversation. DC was happening. They still show up unprepared. Not just the bonnet, but the intellect. So this is what men are dealing with. And sometimes it's not a bad thing. And sometimes it is a bad thing. Like you ladies don't have never actually sat down and listened to how men's dating experience is. I hit you up, I meet you out, I catch you on Instagram or DM you or Facebook or DM you, meet you online, and I decide that you know what I want to do? I want to go out on a date with you. That's my thing. I want to take you out. I want to get to know you. Y'all don't think about how many of y'all are late. If we pick you up, you're late. If it's time to show up, you're late. Y'all don't understand how often this happens. I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready for you. Okay. So now you're 20 minutes late. You're 30 minutes late. Or, you had to stop somewhere because you were in such a rush, you ran out of gas. So if I pick you up, oh, we need run me here real quick because I wasn't necessarily ready. You're all over the place. As much as ladies say guys are uncultured, when we're the one paying for these dates, we don't see ourselves as uncultured. We see you as uncultured, uncouth. We're having to deal with paying for dates with people we just meet who have bad attitudes, not with us, but with waiters and waitresses. Or other women, being catty with other women that don't know each other. You're on a date, some woman says something sideways to the woman you with, and you're like, well, how did this happen? Or the woman that you're with says something sideways about somebody, this, that, and the third. So these are our experiences. But that's a problem. because we're not being completely honest that some of us appreciate all of these bad experiences that we're paying for because it solidifies why we're not trying to why we're not trying to settle down with you ladies. It solidifies that because now I can say, look, I didn't talk to multiple women. I done went out on multiple dates. I done met multiple different people, and I'm getting something to the point that's so bad of a red flag, I just got to say no on a regular basis. The ladies are not taking that into consideration. I'm not a perfect guy. I'm not the best guy on the planet. I can say that, right? But what I also can say is this. I've been far more prepared than the women I've come across. So guys don't want to say, and I'm not talking about high value people, and I'm not talking about people who are in the lower class. I'm talking about all the people in the middle. Because what winds up happening is, in all honesty, in practical application, it's coming across that the guys in the middle ain't good enough for the girls in the middle, and the girls in the middle ain't good enough for the guys up top. So it's like, okay, what we doing? So now it's a whole different problem, and that problem is very simple. Nobody will be good enough for anybody until it's too late. And what I mean by too late, it ain't just because you're getting old. That's not it. Or you're unattractive. That's just not it. It's too late because you are so comfortable with you, you can't cut your bad habits off. You know what I'm saying? You can't cut the things about you that aren't really a good look off. So now we got a problem. Big problem. And if you're going to be completely honest about it, we're we're at a bad space. Because honestly, guys are like, F it. Real talk, like F it. Like, I'm not tripping on you. Like, I ain't got nothing to say to you. I ain't tripping on you. We're good. And ladies are not understanding that when I'm saying that the guys are good, I mean real good. Like, I ain't gotta bother with you. I really don't. So now this is where we're at. And until we get to a different space, it's only gonna get worse. Why am I saying it's gonna get worse? Because of freedom. Freedom. What's up, Ron? Everybody's free to say and do whatever they want. And the problem with the freedom that we're exhibiting now is that you're free to say and do whatever you want, but nobody is free to respond however they want. And that's the stupidness. I've seen too many men, even online in these conversations, be passive aggressive, be passive aggressive and be confrontational. But I'm a man, I can say what I want. I'm a man, I can do what I want. But when you get the confrontation that you're picking at, all of a sudden you somebody different. You somebody different. It's like, oh, okay, all right, this is what we doing. Because I'm separating all of these talking points in some ways, and in other ways, I'm like, listen, it's just BS. Because ultimately, what you're seeing is children acting like they grown. Who? But Do I got? But that's the crazy part, RG. I got to go to South Africa for that. That's cold. That hurts. It don't hurt, but I'm just saying. You know, you gotta buy a passport. You know, spend what, roughly maybe $4,000-5,000. You know, take that. What is it? 17 hours to get to Kenya. So I'm guessing probably about 20 hours. You know, 20, 21 hours to get to South Africa, to be treated with respect, to be treated, eh, yeah, with some respect and decency, and then fly back to America. Like we're at that point where it's that bad, and this is part of the freedom. You know, people are free to do whatever they want, but here's the problem: people cannot afford to do. Most people can't afford to be um, passport players. I'm not about to sit here and lie and say you have to, if you have to not have kids, or your kids be grown or be well off and have enough time on your hands to do that. Most people aren't in that position. Or you have to, and you have to use that as some type of business avenue, because if you're just going somewhere to spend, you're gonna have to recoup that money if you want to keep going back. And that's where we're at. Like, people want to keep going back. So now we're just at a bad space. Because now, in all honesty, what you're seeing is the breakdown mentally between men and women. And it's gonna keep getting worse and worse and worse until people actually have have an acceptance of themselves. Because most of us don't accept ourselves. You know, if I'm gonna be honest, everybody said everybody. I'm not gonna say everybody. Most people say that they're a good person. Most people say that they're a catch. Most people say they don't understand why their relationships didn't work the way that they thought. And most people who say that are lying. But it's a good story to tell. See, where it gets bad is we can't fix it. We can't even fix it for the next generation, because we make up these stories. Well, I don't want to be in a bad relationship, in a toxic environment, and my kids grow up and think you're supposed to be in a toxic environment, as if when you didn't want to be in that environment, the environment where you by yourself wasn't toxic. See, they're not saying that part. People aren't saying that when people are by themselves, or they're by themselves with their children, it's just as bad. Stepdad's on the rise. You cold blooded. It's just as bad now. Because a lot of what people are talking about when we're talking about our childhood and how we grew up, it's, nobody talks about, okay, maybe when I was younger, 70% of the household was single parent households. Now it's like 80%, right? But out of that, out of the 100% of the 70%, or the 100% of the 80%, what is the percentage of those households still being toxic? It's normally over a majority. It's normally over 55, 60%. 51% makes it a majority, but I'm gonna just give it 55 to 60. It's over those. So even when you say, I don't want to be in a bad space, in a bad relationship, because what you wind up having is this dichotomy. If you were able to be around your mother and father when you were younger, what a lot of people normally say is their mom made a lot of bad dating choices, which made the environment that they grew up in toxic because you're blaming it on some other guys, right? Or and if you got a chance to be with your father either moved on and got married or had a bachelor life, and you see your dad, you know, bringing women over, smashing women over, having a girlfriend, but really not, it looks like he just gets to have fun, right? So now, years later, this is what we're living with. So some of this angst towards men is because, oh, all y'all want to do is just kick it and be free anyways. And some of y'all don't realize some of these guys are cool with being free. When you freed some of these guys, they were like, okay, I'm gonna pay you child support because you don't want me to be in this kid's life, or the assumption is they don't want to be in the kid's life, right? So if I pay you this amount of money, basically, you could go away and you could take the kid with you. But in most people's stories and practical application, that ain't actually how it went. And I'm about to get into something that people aren't really gonna like, but you hear a lot of adults talking about this abandonment. But you know what you never hear these adults talk about? How they acted as a child. See, a lot of times when a lot of these adults who are children have this have selective memory about the things they said and did to their other parent. I was just a kid and I was just nah. Because you keep seeing people repeat the cycle when their kids wind up doing to predominantly their father what they did to their father if their kid ain't in the same household. Then they do it to their stepdad if they have it. Or they do it to their mother's boyfriends if they have it. To the point where guys just don't want to interact anymore. And I'm bringing this up because this affects the dating part. Because now guys are looking at it like, yeah, you know what? If you got kids, I'm going to just make this about me and you, not these kids. Because the assumption is these kids are going to be off the chain because of resentment, right? Now, and I've seen women who actually, the kid is with their dad a lot, and that's cool. But most of these situations aren't that. So now we're talking about freedom, talking about your hot girl summer. So a lot of moms, a lot of mothers want freedom. They want to be able to be free, to have fun, because a lot of these women don't like the pressure of being a single mom. And that pressure makes them angrier. But ironically, they don't want to say that they asked for it. They got what they asked for, and it didn't work out the way that they thought. You wanted to be a mother. You wanted to be a nurturer and this, that, and the third, but you didn't take into consideration that maybe, just maybe, the way that you see everybody else is doing it puts a lot of weight on your shoulder. What's happening, fam? So now we got this whole dynamic where, if you're gonna be honest, the reason why a lot of single mothers are easy sex is because they're so stressed out. They need sex to calm them down. Men know it, women know it. Guys don't want to deal with your family dynamic, but guys automatically know she is a single mom, she's stressed out, she wants some sex. She might, before she even wants a relationship, she probably wants sex. You know? Oh, snap. Bobby finna be old. So this is where we at with it. So now, honestly, what you're seeing is people accepting the situation. And what is the situation we're at? We're at a situation where the rules are really set in play, but nobody wants to admit that. But these are the rules. The rules are the men are just here for sex and the women are just here for stuff. Let's just be honest. When the sex get boring, he want to leave. When the stuff, you know, isn't is below your pay grade, you want to leave. That's where we're at. And we both have the freedom to leave whenever we want. Because even marriage, you could, irreconcilable differences. No fault. I just ain't feeling this no more. You know, he said, no churn, no churn. Oh, snap. Oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We know you're going to just, you're going to shoot a club up in a couple weeks. What's happening, man? Oh, salute to you, Duran. I'm tripping, Duran. I'm saying Southern. Duran, as it, whatever. But salute to Duran for that, you know. So now we playing this game that nobody wants to admit they're playing. And everybody is becoming disenchanted. Because just like, and guys don't like to hear this, but we could talk about the women hitting the wall all day. But guys you don't want to hear that sometimes I'm out in these streets and y'all and I can see we hit the wall. Ain't nothing worse than a guy who looked over 30 in skinny jeans saying, you know, ain't nothing worse. Dad buys skinny jeans, you know, bright colored underwear. Like you looking like, bro. This is, and that's what I'm saying. Let's be honest. Let's just be completely honest. Like, fellas, if I would, if I would give you an experiment, go on, just like I told the like guys, like, hey, if you use the dating profile as a woman, you'd be like, wow, this is so y'all getting all this attention. But if you looked at a dating profile as a woman and you were to look at women's options, oh my God, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, why is this thing? So you got a dude that look like he's 35 with dreads and they dyed red, and he think this is a good idea. You got a guy, like it's that type of stuff. You're looking at people like, you got a guy half naked, and tattoos with jeans on. Like, okay, this nigga, hotel pictures, dusty, dirty apartment pictures, and you're looking like, I don't know about you, bro. I don't know about you. Like, dead give away the guy with the money and the thing. It's like, you got money in the photo, but you ain't got no pictures that you went anywhere. This is not a good idea. Because we got the freedom to do it. Because the dating market is so bad that people don't want to admit that if you just willing to smash, you can get anything. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. The Henny bottle and the Black and Miles. Appreciate that. The weed shot. The bad fashion that you really think is good fashion. It's like, bruh. Why? Why? You know, you in the coop, but it's leaning to the side a little bit when you sit down because you weigh too much. It's that, you know what I'm saying? But we free to do whatever because when you hear this BS going around, you can see it. Like when I was listening to Concrete Rose, Sister George, and the brother Paco, I'm gonna be honest about this. Most men do not like fathers who have daughters, who have all daughters, because what winds up happening is they they see the world in this weird way that men are looking like, no, bro. Now, now you got to make women a superhero because you got daughters. I'm not saying to, you know, kick down all their dreams, but what we're not gonna do is say, okay, so you mean to tell me because you want your daughter to be the princesses and the queens, and everything is supposed to be, rainbows and unicorns and good luck and good faith. You're just gonna ignore the bad behavior. Okay, good idea, because this is where some guys don't want to get into this conversation about, like some of you guys who have all daughters, y'all the type of dads that when boys come to your house, you pull a gun out on them or a knife out on them, you threaten them, but then you don't want to say, but then it doesn't cross your mind because you assume that boy just has a mother. But if that boy has a father, and then it gets kind of ugly because you're like, you did what? Okay, you want to pull some guns out. I got you. No problem. I'll be right back. Yeah, I was just trying to protect my daughter. Okay, when your daughter come to my house, I'm gonna put a 45 in her face. Make sense? See, it doesn't resonate the same. That Al Bundy, poke high, man, poke high. You know, and that is definitely the problem. We don't want to be honest about this stuff. We don't want to be truthful about this stuff. Yeah, the scene in Bad Boys is funny, but you never seen that kid daddy. You know, you never seen his dad. Like, I went over Mr. Such and Such's house and they pulled a gun on me. What? Oh, we're gonna be there tomorrow. We're gonna be there, right? We're gonna be the way that those people pulled up to that military guy's house who was harassing a young man walking in the neighborhood. That's how people pull up to some of you dads' houses who have all girls. Like, oh, it's on. It's on. Yeah, you know, I got you, Tony. He's how I keep my. That's abuse, Tony. That's abuse. Oh man, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm a bad influence. Oh shit, I'm a bad influence. So now the reason I bring all this into play is because, and I brought up Black Lives Matter and their spending habits, is because America is dealing with another issue: money. And what you're seeing is men, you're seeing women trying to leverage their money to prolong their dating life. And you're seeing how female leadership works. Because when guys were saying, women about women first, well, what BLM has just shown was women are about women and in the gay community more than the black community. So our biggest issue, Yeah, I saw that, Derwin. Our biggest issue comes from that's bashing now. Like when we point out stuff like this, we're bashing now. But it's plain to see. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because of Tamir Rice's mom, Trayvon Martin's mom. Not George Floyd's mom, but he's dead. But Mike Brown's, mother too. When women were assuming that women got women's back because they're mothers, but they started to see, whoa, you ain't got my back because you a mom. AM, what's up? You don't have any love for my son. My son is just a pawn in your game. I got you. And this is where we're going wrong. Because now we're not dealing with each other with any type of good faith or any type of empathy, because now we're looking at everybody, we're looking at each other like you out to get me, so I'm gonna get you first. You out to get my pockets, I'm out to get your panties. So guess what? We off to the races. So let's just be honest. And AM, I got something in this joint for you, because people like AM come up short on this. AM1 is a guy who's about his business. He handles his business. Our community does not handle our business. And we have, and this goes for men and women, we go off being free, do whatever we want. While I'm chasing skirts, she chasing dollars. And when it all fails, you know what we do? We run to people like AM1. I need help now, but I need it for a discount or for the free. Because this other person put me in a bind. So now we're at a point where not only are we drained to the opposite sex dating, we're drained to the opposite sex or our same sex when dating don't work out for us. Uh-oh. So now when it don't work out for us, somebody else got to pick up the pieces. And the one thing as Black people that we're so, using all of that as a reference and BLM is we are expecting other people to be the responsible ones while we're irresponsible. And we're in the same age group. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where we're at. We got men and women who are like, you know what? In their 20s and their 30s, hey, I could screw up, but as long as I could call my mom or my daddy, they're going to fix it. But your mom and your daddy, like, you know what? If that child has children, now I got to make a decision. Am I going to take care of this screw up, or am I going to take care of my grandkids? Or I'm going to have to take care of this screw up because they got grandkids, and if I don't take care of them, they're going to make these grandkids suffer. And then you got parents the same way. You screwed up as a parent. Your kid got it together, and now all of a sudden your kid got to be the responsible one for you. And that takes away from your grandkids, but you don't care. And the reason why I just brought up the BLM thing with this, and it's all intertwined, is because they're doing the same thing. They're not doing anything different than the community has done prior to this organization. Say they need to be in a particular position. When they get in this particular position, screw it up. When everybody's saying you're screwing up, you don't know what you're talking about. This is going to work out. Now, when all this blows up, they're going to expect somebody else in the community to fix it. Of course, they got to fix it out of their own pocket, though. You know. So this is what's going on every freaking generation. And we're not being, and we can't have an honest talk about this stuff because guess what? Nobody, it's only, oh boy. See, I'm spitting facts and I'm spitting truth when I'm the one not on the end of the facts and on the end of the truth. But if you spitting facts and you spitting truth about me, somehow them ain't facts and that ain't truth no more. That's your truth, and those are alternative facts. That's fake news. So we can't ultimately be honest with each other because it's only honesty if it's what I like to hear. If it's uplifting, if it's empowering, if it makes me feel good. That's what it is. And you're free to make me feel good, but you're not free to make me feel like I'm effing up. That's out of pocket. But we don't want to go down that rabbit hole, right? We just don't. Mm. Now, what I'm about to say is gonna suck. In all honesty, majority of us, we like the dysfunction because we can benefit from it. The women can benefit from it, the men can benefit from it, right? There is no responsibility in all of this dysfunction, none whatsoever. There is no accountability in all of this dysfunction, none whatsoever. I was watching a draft a few days ago, and the older I always liked the draft, but the one thing the older I get, the worse and worse the draft makes me. I look at it and I shake my head. It's because you got guys 20, 21, 22, NBA, NBA draft, 19, 20, maybe 21. Because seniors don't make it to get drafted no more, it looks like. Whose families are so happy that they made it. But in all actuality, the families are like, we finally made it. So I'm looking at, 50, to 200 young men become millionaires. And before they can buy themselves a car that they like, a house that they like, uh, they got to buy everybody else stuff. But you want those people to help. But those people normally go broke because they're building everybody else up before they get themselves. Nobody ever thought, you know, how family probably ruined Trent Richardson's career. He finally made it. We made it. I'm gonna just spend all the money. So you mean to tell me you spent more of his money than he spent? He was more responsible with his money than you were, but you had access to it. So he looked stupid for trusting you, and you look stupid for blowing stuff that ain't yours. But all you can do is cry about it. I'm so sorry I did that to him. But you wasn't sorry when you wanted to ball on his budget. And it's the same thing that goes on when we're talking about dating and relationships. People are just a credit card swipe, a debit card tap. It's just and I can say this on both sides. If I were to issue a challenge to men and women, I already know how bad it would end. The one thing about men, and women that's true when it comes to interacting is we don't keep score. We don't keep count. What do I mean by that? If you don't know how much you spent on dates in the last year. So I know you don't know the last 5, 10, 15, but at a certain point you go, man, I wasted a lot of money. Ladies, you don't know how much has been spent on you in the last year. So you don't know how much is spent on you in the last 5, 10, 15 years. But when people stop doing it, you realize, you got a lot of free stuff. Nobody takes talent. Nobody takes talent. So in all honesty, same thing with, oh boy. So I see a lot of older women, right? Who look beautiful for their age, right? And what I'm about to say is gonna suck. I was gonna make a video about this, but I'm gonna preface this. I see a lot of older, fine women, 35 and up, who basically give off and act like and are living in their whole phase. And the problem isn't that, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. The problem is they're in their whole phase and they want to be a wife at the same time. I'm in my whole phase, but if I met the right man, they sound like young women who, if I meet the right man, I know what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna switch it up. No. You can't turn a whole phase into a housewife phase. It's not gonna work. And the same thing with guys are taking like, we got this, we got MILFs in the whole phase. I know, I could remember how guys were tripping about, man, I'm finna get this, what is it, Xbox 5, PlayStation 5, whatever it was. We're gonna get these video games. That was so disgusting to me at the time. I was like, you mean to tell me you a grown man fucking for a video game system? There used to come a time where it kind of looked weird if you was a grown man and you were at a woman's house and you were playing the same games as her child. You 40, the child 15, he playing Mario Brothers, but now you sitting down playing with him. Bro, if you don't get up off that joystick, the immaturity is on 9,000. You can play video games, but stop playing them with people, kids, when you gonna put it down and go smash their mama. It's just not a good idea. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm about to bust you up on this 2K. Up your mama calling, I gotta go beat it up. I'll be right back after we done. That's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. But everybody has the freedom to do it, right? Boy, we got issues. We got issues. So now we're at a point where everybody can be honest. And the crazy part about it is we're so honest now, we don't realize that honesty makes us look bad. Sometimes we shouldn't be so honest. Sometimes we need to shut up. What's happening? Sometimes speaking your truth makes you look like a dummy. But sometimes your freedom makes you look stupid. It makes you look stupid. No. Nobody is asking the question, Stepdad Chronicles. Nobody's asking the question of that. I'm gonna just spit it out. I'm 41. I'm teeter-tottering. I'm growing to grandparent age, right? We have entered a space in America where grandparents act like they're in high school. So where the hell you think our community going? And grandparents acting like they're in high school and they ain't got sense enough to hide it from their children or their grandchildren. It doesn't make sense now. See, I remember talking about 420 and weed smokers. And people who are weed smokers have an issue with me talking about weed smokers. But what I'm about to say goes into this, granddads, grandmoms acting like they're in high school chronicles. What a lot of people don't want to say, don't want to admit, is most older weed smokers, just like most older drinkers, they have a habit of introducing those drugs into teenagers' lives and the little kids' lives. See, they don't not drink in front of the kids. They don't not smoke in front of the kids. They smoke in front of the kids, around the kids. All this, and then when the kids grow up to be smokers, it's like, oh, what the hell going on? What the hell? Your kid got a drug problem. No, you think? You think? You know what I'm saying? But it's just weed. Yeah, stupid. And that's just a 15-year-old going out into the street asking for weed. That's just a 15-year-old going in the cabinet, pouring water in a vodka bottle. That's all that is. So now, oh my goodness, everybody want to be overly sexual. Why? You might not be doing anything to those kids, but why are you overly sexual in front of those kids? Anybody ask that question? Why are these kids out here having all this sex? Well, you don't know when they're not advertising that you're gonna be having sex around these kids and in front of these kids. In the earshot, you can't just keep it to yourself. That's the other part of freedom. You know, when you're in the house having sex and the kids in the house, but you just can't shut up. You just can't not be loud. Because all of a sudden you forgot the common sense. You go, you can't shut up. I was just in the mood. I was just in the moment. No. Guess what? You didn't hear your grandparents smashing. You never heard them. They had common sense. But then all of a sudden you hear your parents having sex, and then you hear your aunts and uncles having sex, and it doesn't dawn on now, you're bringing people into the house, and your parents know you're having sex in the house, but they're not gonna say nothing about it because they having sex in the house and it makes sense. Oh, yeah, I'm glad they're not doing it. I'm glad they're not this. Okay. Okay. You don't make people pay for everything they doing. But I'm gonna digress. I'm gonna get out of here because I got some cleaning up to do. It's getting late. So just thank y'all for rocking with me. Like, share, subscribe, and die trying. I'm gonna get I do these lives sporadically, so I'm gonna get at y'all when I get at y'all. Peace.